Sometimes emulating and admiring others' cultures can be taken too far and therefore seen as disrespectful, whether it was intended or not. Other cultures are cool, but there's a fine line between appreciation and appropriation.
I think it's really a leftist agenda to divide us.
It's accused of demeaning its culture.
Kim Kardashian is slammed for cultural appropriation.
Being accused of cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation. For being a white woman casted in a Japanese.
Where we draw the line between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation.
Oh boy. Let's go into it. The issue of cultural appropriation has become a controversial topic that sees a huge divide in opinions from around the world.
It's hard to have a discussion because you're so afraid of somebody being offended or not even knowing how you might offend somebody. That's when it becomes a problem.
One culture that's no exception to that is Japan. There are many different types of traditional clothing in Japan. There's the yukata, hakama, happi, hyoko, uchikake, fundoshi, nemaki, and haori, just to name a few. But none of them have become as famous overseas as the kimono.
Kim Kardashian announced her new shapewear line called Kimono.
Oh, no, I meant like the actual kimono. The kimono dates as far back in history as 794, yes, that is an actual year, as a garment made of straight cuts of fabric to suit a huge variety of people. It was worn by every Japanese person and it became an identifier to make it obvious who was Japanese and who were foreigners. You know, just in case we didn't stand out enough as it was. In the Meiji period, they changed the name to kimono, which literally just means thing to wear. But they also encouraged people to wear more Western style clothing as well. They did this for a number of reasons, but the main reason was how long it took to put on.
So it takes about 30 minutes or so to put it on, so let's get started.
In the 30 minutes it took to put on, I counted 10 individual pieces that went into the final look, and everything had a significant purpose.
And when
I say that it's difficult to put on, I literally mean have a snack and some water before you get started. And then when it's done, good luck with doing so much as putting on your socks, because it is tight.
And now comes the difficult part of filming the rest of the day, whilst also dressing like this, because it makes it very hard for you to bend down. And as if I don't get stared enough, I'm going to step out in a kimono. Excellent. Ready for the stairs. So with it being such a huge culturally significant piece of clothing, you'd think that they'd want to keep it that way, right? Well, yes, they do. Kimono these days is basically only worn to special events and formal functions and things like that, but it's also worn for fun at things like festivals. It's kind of like a way to experience and appreciate your own culture and just have fun with it. And as far as I can tell, they want foreigners to do the same thing. Now, for some people, the question posed in the title of this video is pretty obvious. But in the crazy world that we live in nowadays, where people are trying not to offend another person or they're trying not to get cancelled, I have seen the question pop up from a couple of foreigners recently saying that they would like to come to Japan to try on a kimono, but they don't want to be a part of cultural appropriation. So what is cultural appropriation? Well, to paraphrase Lindsay Ellis, the term itself is actually neutral. It's defined as the adoption of elements of one culture by members of another culture. So yes, technically me wearing a kimono is a form of cultural appropriation. But please don't spread the word, because that term has got a completely different meaning nowadays. This is literally racist. I say no to inappropriate cultural appropriation. If you, a white girl, don't understand how wearing a native headdress is inappropriate, you need to read a book. Educate yourself, bitch. This is not cute or funny. It's racist and culturally appropriate. CA is part of the cultural homogenization and eventual extinction. Halloween is nearly here, and picking a costume can be tricky. This is disrespectful. You can't walk around acting like it's a fashion statement. Aussie cultural appropriation, and y'all still stan her? Okay, this one literally doesn't make any sense. I don't know what is like culturally Australian about her outfit, unless it's the khakis, but maybe they're talking about the kangaroo.
I don't know. Quite honestly, the further I dive into this topic, the more I realize how complex it is. There's a reason that no one can seem to agree on this topic, and that's because there's no way to simplify it. This video could be an hour long and we'd still have no definitive answer. I do think though that there's a lot to be said about the people involved, the context and the intent behind it, but even then, that's no formula for an agreeable answer. So instead of trying and failing to understand and explain what is okay and what isn't in terms of cultural appropriation in the context of the world, although feel free to discuss that in the comments, instead I'm just going to focus on this video's topic. What do Japanese people think about foreigners wearing kimono?
素敵だと思ってますよ。やっぱりね、日本のその文化をね、世界中にね、やっぱり流行らしたいし、発信したいし、いいと思います。とても。
It's really beautiful.
You don't feel any kind of like disrespect or anything like that?
No, not at all. But I think it's a little bit complicated for foreigners to wear the kimono. They should have someone who knows well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they can wear it properly.
Yeah, right.
I still like a non-Japanese people try the Japanese culture. It's a really nice thing. Okay. So I love it. But if they kind of will, wearing some sort of like different way, I want to let them know like, well, that's a bit slightly different.
Okay, so yeah. You want people to be informed about the right way to do it. Okay.
どう思いますか？似合うと思うよ。日本人が結構海外の服着るのと一緒じゃないですか。日本人が結局ほらウェディングドレス着たりするのと一緒じゃないですか。
ですよね。Do you think that there's anyone who doesn't like foreigners wearing kimono?
俺たちの若い世代でそれを思う人はまずいないかな。多分年配の人でもみんな嬉しい。どっちかって言ったら嬉しい方。だから外国の人が着物着てるのを見てではならない。すごい、おお、いい、めっちゃいいって思う。
Of course, that's not to say that there also aren't some Japanese people whose opinions differ from these. However, there would almost certainly be the exception, not the rule.
So far as I can tell from what I've learned from asking my friends and things like that about issues that people may have with foreigners wearing kimono is if they're wearing it incorrectly. Literally just like 2 minutes ago, I was just setting up my camera over there and then a Japanese lady walked past and kind of without even asking, she just came up behind me and said, sumimasen, obi chotto naoshimasu ne. Like, I guess I may have like crushed a little bit when I was sitting in the taxi. So I do feel as though the only time that people really care about it is if it's worn incorrectly or worn without enough care to kind of give justice to the beautiful piece of significant clothing that it actually is. So both the times that I've worn the kimono and all of the many times that I've worn yukata, I've never have I ever received any kind of negative remark. Not even so much as like an unhappy face looked in my direction. And often Japanese people want to try and get photos with me wearing it or something like that. And I think that it is because for Japanese people to wear kimono is to experience and appreciate their culture. And when they see a foreigner doing the same thing, that's what it is. I can't speak for everybody's experiences, like other people wearing kimonos and things like that, but even for a lot of my foreign friends, when they've worn kimono or yukata or anything like that, I've never even heard of any of them receiving any kind of negative remarks from a Japanese person for wearing it, which is why the Kali Kloss kimono controversy shocked me when I first heard about it.
Vogue magazine and supermodel Karlie Kloss are once again under fire for a recent photo shoot gone wrong. Photos inside the mag featured Karlie Kloss dressed as a geisha, aka a traditional Japanese entertainer.
She wasn't dressed like a geisha. What? Who said that?
Karlie received so much criticism for being a white woman casted in a Japanese-themed spread that she was forced to release an apology via Twitter.
So all of this backlash was for cultural appropriation, but unsurprisingly, the people accusing her of it weren't actually a part of the culture in question.
What's in this bag? Oh, that's white guilt. Right, well, we've all got a bit of that.
So what do Japanese people have to say about it? I'm Japanese, but this doesn't make me angry. If someone asked if this is authentic Japan, I would answer that it's not, but I don't feel any insult. I'm Japanese, but I think this is just artwork. I don't know why it matters. This is beautiful. Next time, why don't you try dressing as a Maiko, ninja, samurai, or a general?
Almost all Japanese are pleased that foreigners are involved in Japanese culture. Most Japanese people will just say, it's not discrimination. Please don't say sorry. I like it. It's beautiful. Thank you for your interest in our culture. These are beautiful. It feels really cool. Thank you for wearing it. Everyone's too sensitive about these things. None of the people criticizing her are Japanese. So why do people that have nothing to do with it criticizing her? Where is the racism? Are you crazy? I mean, we could probably just end the video right there, to be honest. So I'm not making this video to speak on behalf of anyone or any culture, and especially not to just, point my finger at people that accuse cultural appropriation even when it's not. That's not at all what my intention is, and I'm certainly not trying to oversimplify an issue that is inherently complex. I am making this video, however, for foreigners that are coming to Japan and they really want to get involved in Japanese culture and they want to try on a kimono, maybe go to a matsuri and a photo shoot, have fun with their friends, that kind of thing. It's okay. No one is going to think ill of you for trying to experience and see Japanese culture. I know that this is actually quite a serious topic and a sensitive one for some people and some minorities, and I certainly can't speak for you or your experiences. I believe that me having lived in Japan now for about 5 years and actively doing my best to learn the language and about the culture and the traditions and the people, I truly believe that if Japan held on to their traditions and their cultures and acted as gatekeepers, saying like, no, this is just for Japanese people, you don't get to experience this. I really think that if that was the attitude that I felt from the people when I came here, I wouldn't have felt as welcome as I do in this country, and two, I wouldn't have learnt as much as I have learned. That's one of the wonderful parts about being in this country, is how open and warm and welcoming all of the people are here, and they really do love it when foreigners try to appreciate their culture and want to learn more about it. And I really believe that that kind of open attitude has helped me to come to know what it truly means to appreciate a culture. Whew, I'm sweating. I don't know if it's because it's like hot and I've got 10 layers on right now, or if it's just because I gave my opinion for once on my channel. Oh, imagine. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. I would love to hear what your experiences are. Maybe not necessarily about foreigners in Japan in kimono, but other cultures, or what it's like in your country and that kind of thing. It's a super interesting topic. It's like a really big conversation starter that I actually really like having this kind of conversation with people in person. I'm such a crowd pleaser. That being said, I think that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Look at it. Look at it. And the sleeves act as like a giant pocket. It's amazing. My phone's in here. Look at that. It's so pretty. There's so many. I feel. You know what I feel like? I feel like Kylo Ren in Star Wars, and he's just like, he turns around, he's like, poof, just like thick as a fridge. Like that's how I feel. Like Kylo Ren. Good job, Hannah. Nice.